I remember the sound first, not the pain, not the fire, just the sound, just the sound. A sharp crack in the air. Then the ground disappeared under my feet.
We were moving through a forest near the German border. Cold morning, wet ground, the kind of silence that makes soldiers nervous. Nobody was talking. When you are that close to the front line, silence is never a good sign. I was 21 years old, young enough to believe nothing bad could really happen to me. Our unit had been moving for hours, slowly, carefully. Every step through that forest felt dangerous. Snipers loved trees, landmines loved roads, and artillery didn't care where you were. The explosion came without warning. One moment I was walking, the next moment the air exploded. A mortar shell landed close, too close. The blast threw me off my feet. My ears rang so loud I thought I had gone deaf. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't listen. When I touched my face, my hand came back wet, warm, sticky. Someone was shouting my name. I couldn't see him. Everything around me was spinning. Then hands grabbed my jacket. 2 soldiers from my unit. They dragged me across the mud. I remember one of them yelling, "Stay awake! Don't fall asleep!" But it was getting harder to stay awake. The battlefield smelled like smoke and burned metal. The last thing I heard before everything went black was someone saying, "His face is gone." When I woke up again, I wasn't on the battlefield anymore. I was lying in a hospital bed, white ceiling, white sheets, quiet. For a moment, I didn't remember the war. Then I felt the bandages all over my face, and suddenly the memories came back. That was when I saw her, standing beside my bed, a nurse, young, beautiful, too beautiful for a place like that. She smiled when she noticed my eyes were open. "Welcome back," she said. Her voice was calm, gentle, like the war outside those walls didn't exist. For the first time since the explosion, I felt something other than fear. Hope. The first few days in the hospital were a blur. Pain, medicine, sleep. But every morning she was there, the same nurse, checking the bandages, bringing water, making sure I stayed awake. She spoke to me like nothing about me had changed, like the scars didn't matter. But the truth was, I hadn't seen my face yet. The doctors avoided mirrors. The nurses avoided mirrors. No one wanted to show me. Until one afternoon, I asked, "Can I see it?" The nurse hesitated, just for a second. Then she brought me a small mirror, cracked, old. I lifted it slowly, and the man staring back at me wasn't the one I remembered. The explosion had taken more than skin. My face looked twisted, burned, unrecognizable. I dropped the mirror. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. But the nurse didn't react. She didn't look shocked. She didn't look afraid. Instead, she placed her hand on my shoulder. "You're still here," she said. "That's what matters." From that moment, she stayed longer beside my bed, longer than she needed to. Sometimes she told stories about her childhood, about the town she grew up in. Sometimes she simply sat there in silence, and slowly something strange happened. I began to believe she actually cared about me, not the wounded soldier, me. One evening, I finally asked her, "Why are you so kind to me?" She smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. Then she said something I didn't understand at the time. Because someone should be. Weeks passed, my body healed, but my face never would. The doctors told me I would return to my unit soon. That night, I made a decision. I wanted to thank her, maybe ask her to walk with me outside the hospital just once, just one evening. I wanted to believe someone could still see a man in me, not a monster. So I went looking for her. I found her outside the building, standing close to someone, an officer, and they were holding hands. I returned to the front 2 days later. War doesn't wait for broken hearts. The battlefield looked the same. Mud, smoke, burned trees, men who were too tired to be afraid anymore. But something inside me had changed. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, and I heard her words again. "I only did it so you would live." I tried to forget it. I told myself she had lied, that it meant nothing, but the memory stayed. 3 days later, the Germans attacked again. It started before sunrise, artillery first, the ground shaking, shells falling everywhere, men shouting orders, machine guns opening fire. We ran toward the trenches as explosions lit the sky. In war, everything happens fast, and at the same time, everything feels slow. During the attack, a runner came toward us. He was shouting for help. "Officer down!" 2 medics were dragging someone through the smoke. When they got closer, I saw his uniform. An officer, young, blood all over his chest. They laid him down on the ground. One of the medics looked at me. "Help us carry him." I stepped closer, and then I saw his face. The officer from the hospital. Her officer, the man she loved. For a moment, the entire battlefield disappeared. All I could hear was my own breathing. The medic shouted again, "Help us!" But I didn't move. I told myself I was thinking, that I was deciding, but the truth is simpler. I was angry. Angry at him. Angry at her. Angry at the lie I believed. The officer tried to speak. Blood filled his mouth. His hand reached toward us. He was still alive. The medic grabbed my arm. "Move!" And finally I stepped forward. But it was too late. His head fell to the side. His eyes stopped moving. The medic checked his pulse. Then he looked at me. He's gone. No one blamed me. No one asked why I waited. In war, men die every minute, but I knew the truth. For one moment, I could have saved him, and I didn't. The war ended a few months later. People celebrated. Soldiers went home. Some of them started new lives. Some tried to forget. But some things you never forget. I went back to America. I tried to live normally. I found a job. Years later, I even got married. My wife used to ask me about the war. She wanted to understand what it was like. But every time she asked, I told her the same thing. Nothing important happened. That was the easiest lie I ever told, because the truth was harder. The truth was this: a woman once lied to me to save my life. She pretended to care. She pretended to love me, not because she had to, but because she believed I deserved to live. And when the moment came for me to do the same, I chose something else. I chose anger. I chose pride. And because of that, the man she loved died. I learned later what happened to her. A letter arrived a few weeks after that battle. It said she had volunteered to go to the front. She worked in field hospitals, close to the fighting, saving wounded soldiers, just like she tried to save me. 1 month later, another letter came. She died during an artillery attack. They said she died while helping other soldiers. Some called her brave. Some called her a hero. I never knew what to call her. For years, I told myself none of it mattered, that war is chaos, that men die every day. But the older I became, the harder it was to believe that, because the truth is simple. That officer might have lived if I had moved 5 seconds sooner, and she might have lived too. Sometimes I sit here at night and think about the hospital. The first day I opened my eyes and saw her standing there, smiling, trying to convince a broken soldier that life was still worth living. I believed her, and maybe that was the problem, because the day I stopped believing her was the day I became the kind of man I never wanted to be.